What is good, everybody? My name is The Generation 71, and thank you for tuning back into this random zombies commentary video. It's actually part 2 of kind of like a just retro. I can't really say it's a retrospective of Call of Duty Zombies, Black Ops 4, whatever. But I actually did have kind of a plan on, hey, it's like this is what I'm going to talk about part 1. Part 2 is actually going to talk about more of the state of the game and kind of its buggy ordeals and such. But of course, you know, with zombies being such a roller coaster, there's recently been such a big leak that essentially needs to be talked about. And like I said, kind of my perspective, more on the business retail side of it, kind of give my perspective on things that have transpired. Sorry, I'm laughing, and I'm laughing because it's generally kind of sad about some of the stuff about to talk about, but it also is not a surprise. I laugh because I mean, generally, that's just business, man. That's how business goes. So in case you are a big fan of Call of Duty Zombies, but just don't, I guess, go on Reddit that much, because I don't go on Reddit. I found this out actually today on Sunday. It actually happened on Saturday the 10th. There was a former employee of TREYARCH, a QA tester, quality assurance tester, that essentially felt jaded because he got dismissed. And we're not talking about that situation. That situation is neither here nor there, because that's in general not what I want to talk about. But I have to bring it up saying that this information comes from a former jaded employee. So some of the information could be off, some of the information could be altered, some of the information just could be straight up lies. But there has been so much that has been confirmed from the information that he's provided. It's hard not to think that this is true, so just kind of keep that in mind. So, but again, we're not really going to talk about like why he's a former employee of TREYARCH. He just is. So, but this former employee, because of this, he actually posted a bunch of Reddit forums all across, and just saying, hey, you know, former employee, I'm a little jaded, ask me anything about the game. And so people did, and oh, were the answers so juicy. So one thing I'm gonna gloss over a tiny bit, just because again, like with me personally, I haven't done Easter egg hunts in a very long time. So with the Easter egg part of it, not necessarily a big deal for me, though I know a lot of other people are absolutely furious about it, and I understand because I used to be in that situation. But essentially a lot, if not all, the remaining Easter eggs for Blood of the Dead, for the classified Easter egg, or classified map, Voyage of Despair 9, all the remaining Easter eggs that have yet to be found were leaked, essentially. And some of the things were a little ridiculous, like how to actually upgrade the golden spork in Blood of the Dead, it's the spark knife or something like that. But the requirements are a little ridiculous, and like honestly, there will probably be a time I'll think about actually, and I felt kind of bad because I'm actually recording this Sunday night. I said I was going to stream, but this information was too juicy not to make a video on. Yeah, I was like, I might try to do that on a stream, but the requirements are just so ridiculous. Like, you have to already upgrade the golden spork. Yeah, I don't know why I was going to say golden spoon. You already have to upgrade that. And that in itself is a chore. And so not only that, but then you have to get like an additional 100 kills in industries, and then you have to get like an additional other 100 kills with these rocks near traps. And it's so weird, so convoluted. I don't know why TREYARCH would put something that complicated into an Easter egg, make it as an Easter egg and put it into a map like that. But I mean, even Jason Blundell himself, which we're gonna find out that his word isn't necessarily should be held as a scripture. He said he's always wanted to make zombies hard, so I guess that's difficult. I mean, not gonna lie, that is difficult. Hell, they don't want us to start the Easter egg until round 18 apparently. So, but yeah, so that was kind of one of the things that is just like, yeah, Easter eggs, there is essentially now no end game, and it's not as big of a deal for me again, but there's these things called callings and factions that were supposed to be implemented into the game, and it was stated by Jason Blundell himself, saying, hey, these are already done, but we're not going to do them at launch because it'd be too much content, and we just haven't seen them. We still don't see them, but now people are wondering if they're just not in the game, because Black Ops 4 in general is a broken game. But we'll get to right now why that is. So The biggest thing for me, and I actually mentioned it a little bit in the last video, is that they ended up removing Jug, Speed Cola, and Double Tap from this game. And the original reasoning from Jason Blundell and the team was stating that, hey, there's all these perks, but no matter what, people would pick up a certain selection of them every single time. And they wanted to kind of, go strive away from that, actually get different variations of different perks, which, if that were true, that's understandable. But this leaker apparently did reveal that the only reason they took out Jug specifically, we could talk about Speed Cola later, but the only reason why they took out Jug specifically is that they could not get it to work by separating the two health bars, or by having the health and armor system in the same health bar. And so, but it's funny because now that they've separated the health and the armor bar, we may actually see Jug return in future maps. And this is like, it's again funny to me because I get that the situation that Jason Blundell is probably in, and I don't necessarily, I mean, there is some blame for the Zombies team, there is some blame for Treyarch, but in the end, I don't entirely blame them. I blame Activision more than anything as a publisher, and I more blame just kind of the status of the gaming industry more than anything. And it's funny because Call of Duty is now in a situation where you have essentially 3 years to develop a game. Ever since adding Sledgehammer into the works, you essentially have three years to develop a game, which, don't get me wrong, is a lot longer than just switching year on year off with Treyarch and Infinity Ward. But it just shows you that 3 years is not enough to make a complete game, especially when you try to do as many things as ambitious as they were trying to do with Black Ops 4. There were other things too that they ended up cutting. So apparently there was a campaign that was supposed to be like a 2v2 type of mode where you were racing to the finish. They also had plans on making multiplayer a lot more like Overwatch. I mean, those things are ambitious, but you can't just make that overnight, much less in 3 years. Overwatch itself took years to develop. So in the end, yes, Jason Blundell and Treyarch do need to take responsibility for just straight up lying to consumers. Because in the end, and I come from this as a business standpoint, when you're in that position, you just can't afford to do that. And it's going to sound bad, but essentially you need to learn to lie with the truth. How easy would it have been to say, hey, Jug was actually a particular challenge with a lot of the new systems that we've implemented in Black Ops 4. We were unable to actually get it to work with our system at launch, but we're making some great headway and hope to bring it sometime near in the future in future maps. How easy would that have been to say? And of course, they probably never expected this information to leak, saying, hey, yeah, we couldn't get Jug because, hey, we were lazy developers. But it's still one of those things. How different is that from just saying, hey, yeah, we just didn't want you to be, I guess, dependent on Jug, dependent on Speed Cola. And because now they're going to have egg in their face. And I try to see the situation too of, what if this leak had never happened? I could totally see them saying, hey, we've heard the outcry. We've heard how much you guys wanted Jug back, so bam, we're going to give it to you in this next map or whatever. And I could see them playing it towards that being played towards hey, they look like the good guys. They're listening to the community, right? And so I could see that, but that's just straight up shady. But again, I don't necessarily think that's entirely Treyarch's and the Jason Blundell and the Zombies team's fault. I think it's just essentially kind of also Activision and just the state of the gaming industry that you're not allowed to look human because, I mean, there's also all the talk, day to day about entitled gamers, especially what happened with Diablo Immortal or whatever, and how when anything changes, gamers get entitled to saying, we don't want this or whatever. But you also have to understand too, if you're making a product that nobody wants, why are you making that product? And so it's not necessarily entitlement, it's more of, hey, you have people that expect a product, and if you don't want to make that, you have to understand you're going to lose some customers. You have already lost customers due to this debacle, due to the game being in a glitchy state, being constantly, blue screening, we're going to high rounds. even like saying that, I'm surprised like in this gameplay I'm showing in the background we didn't blue screen. It's actually super surprising. So, but it goes to show you that, you know, these blue screens aren't consistent with everybody every game. You know, just when it happens it really hurts, and it really just puts an exclamation point on all the problems that Black Ops 4 I don't know, that sounded weird to me. Black Ops 4 has. And so it's a darn shame just to see them straight lying to the consumer like that. And that's why they need to stop perpetuating these standards of saying, hey, you know, you're expected to make a game in 3 years. Oh, you didn't finish the game? Well, let's go ahead and just send it out as it is. We'll patch out the fixes later. And that's just not an okay thing. But I think eventually consumers need to also take responsibility too, where if you don't like what is happening right now with Black Ops 4, stop supporting, and you know, I'm trying to be nice here, but stop supporting Treyarch, stop supporting Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, stop supporting Activision as a whole. Because in the end, Activision is they're not necessarily worried about consumers, they're worried about their stockbrokers, you know, stock investors, whatever you want to call them. And when they start leaving, that's when changes will actually start happening. So with that all being said, I mean, there's other stuff that I can go into, but I don't want to put too many spoilers in here if people are trying to like still for some reason play this game and are excited for future DLCs or future like content things. I'm not going to spoil anything. Just the only thing I have to say left to say is that after hearing the news, I wasn't entirely sure how to feel, because obviously I didn't buy this game. I was gifted to it by Activision, by Treyarch, so again, thank you, but I have to be honest, obviously. And I do have the next 4 DLCs paid for. It was the Legendary Edition, the $100 version that I got gifted, so I'm gonna get the DLCs not because I paid for them, but they were gifted to me. But like I said, you just essentially have to be honest, and it's like, at this point, what is the point? If you can't even play the game as is, what's the point of putting out a DLC that's probably not going to work, or it's going to work as not intended, and constant blue screens, and you're just going to keep losing your player base. And like I said, my personal feelings on it is, like I said, I didn't know how to feel when I first heard the news, and I actually watched a couple other YouTubers, and I tend to do that just with any like thing that I'm kind of confused about, because I like seeing multiple different perspectives before I can formulate my own. And with me personally, there's a lot of things that have affected me during my life. Video gaming as a whole has affected me greatly, for better or for worse. And I will say the Call of Duty Zombies franchise has done so much for me, and now I feel like it's also taking so much away from me in the same sense. And it's weird to say that, because a lot of people's like, dude, it's just a video game. But I mean, that why do you think this genre is becoming so big? Because so many people are affected by video games in so many different ways. You know, I started back at World at War. I remember, you know, the first night playing Varrock, still probably my favorite map on the original World at War. I remember meeting some of my, you know, best friends back in Black Ops, even though unfortunately, you know, we don't play anymore. I remember having some of the best times. Like, there was somebody I used to play with on Call of the Dead that they were like, oh yeah, you know, it's like we were fighting, and they're like, yeah, so, you know, just to prove a point, I'm gonna get every single kill. You're not gonna get a single kill. And I think for like 6 rounds, like, they could not get a single kill. I was getting insta kills, I was getting headshots, I was getting nukes. So literally I had like 50 kills and they had none. So that was probably one of the most enjoyable nights I had in a long time. I remember one time I just did a whole pistol only challenge, and I upgraded every single pistol. So it's these experiences that keep me coming back to this franchise for some odd reason. Well, not for some odd reason, obviously, because I have those memories attached with it. And that's why, personally, it does really kind of suck to see where it's gone. And it's not even necessarily Black Ops Zombies specifically that is a symptom of this. It's gaming as a whole when it comes to these loot boxes, microtransactions. It's just not necessarily the same as it used to be. And it's just a sad sight to see. Do I hope that things will be fixed? Yes. Do I know better? Yes. Things won't get better. If anything, they're going to get worse. And in the end, essentially, the people that are upset about this, they're going to leave. But what I guess a lot of people fail to see, and that's why I say I like to see the business aspect of this, is they don't necessarily care if the older fans leave. Because with the microtransactions, you're essentially gearing this towards younger kids. And if you can hook the younger generation, you essentially hook in another 20-year customer for the next 5,000 Call of Duties. And I think that's their end game, where it's like, yes, you are pissing off your old school fans, but you're hooking in a whole new generation. And I think that's essentially what they care about. Because in the end, you know, you see all these colorful like drinks, sodas or whatever. You have these elixirs that are different bright colors or whatever. When you like hit the plasma, whatever it's called, nebular plasma, it's like, you know, spinning a roulette and you have all this fancy colors, things flashing. You know, they're obviously definitely gearing it towards kids. So I hate to say it, but essentially the feelings that a lot of old schoolers have will never get that same feeling again with these newer games. And just not necessarily Treyarch, but Activision doesn't care. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments section down below. If you have any personal opinions, how you feel about these leaks, if you know about some of the other leaks, if you think I'm wrong, if you think like, no man, this is all lies, whatever, just leave a comment down below, let me know, and then like the video, share it with your friends, let's have a conversation, because that's what all the new YouTubers these days say. It's like, yeah, let's just have a conversation, guys. I love it, man. I've been around YouTube so long. I love seeing these trends. So, but anyways, guys, I'm gonna cut it there for now. This has been the Generation 71, and we'll catch you guys later.